Welcome to 30 What Now? This is Mel.
And this is Iryan.
And we're two millennials in our 30s who are faking it through life.
On this podcast, we'll explore what it means to be a 30-year-old and try to make sense of it all along the way.
We're also new to this whole podcast thing, so if you're keen to see our journey, listen away.
Shall we? Did you get your notebook?
Huh? I
Did
did
you
get a
get
new
your
book. Yes, I did. I used up my diary. I used up the other diary because I don't know whether you know. I've been journaling for a year.
Is that since we did the episode about journaling?
No, it's I think it helps. But I was talking to someone that I met, and she spoke about I can't remember the book. But essentially, you journal 3 pages a day to get your thought out. I can't remember the term for it.
Was that the thing we were talking about?
At some point, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, we had
But
one of the episodes.
I journal now.
Has that helped?
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm less of a crazy bitch.
What's the science complete side topic now. What's the science behind journaling? Why does it help?
Journaling, actually, I think it's one of those things where it is meant to be the oldest form of being creative. So you are able to get all your thoughts out. And when we live in the current society where there's so much things happening 24/7, you're always inundated with, content, with advice, with work stuff. You're always getting things. Sometimes it's good to clear your mind. People meditate as a way of getting rid of stuff on their head. But sometimes writing it down helps. There is a healing element.
What happens when your writing is so bad like mine?
You don't have to reread it. Sometimes just getting things out.
Okay, fair.
You can reread it if you want, but sometimes I just write my thoughts out, and it's either a mantra. Like, I've got a mantra. I call myself Lady Peace at the moment because I want to be peaceful. And then I have all my other stuff, like I am going to sell $100 worth of stuff on Facebook Marketplace every month. Like, that's my mantra. But the second thing I use...
Have you done that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've been selling $100 worth of stuff since the start of the year.
I have questions about why you have so much stuff to sell, but maybe we won't get into that because that sounds like a different conversation.
It's because I'm a hoarder.
Actually, I wonder, so journaling and the benefits of journaling probably make a lot of sense. Sorry, they must make a lot of sense. Can I dictate to ChatGPT, do you think?
To
and
journal?
Right? So rather than writing,
no.
is it just as cathartic to say it out loud?
No, I think there have been articles, but it's the act of writing it is also the healing component of it. One is to get things out of your head, but 2 is writing it. This is something probably caveman, this is something earthy about putting pen to paper.
Okay, I don't like it. I actually don't like it. I've stopped using a notebook at work.
I love using notebooks at work.
I'm on and off with a notebook at work. I think I use the notebook to explain something to people. Otherwise, no.
Really?
Maybe that's why I just don't do enough work.
Maybe if you're listening, employee. No, and so I think it depends on what you use your notebook for, your journaling for. I use it 1 for my mantra, 2 for my forward planning. Sometimes I'm like, what do I want to achieve from the current month? And so I kind of plan a little bit ahead of time. And then 3, sometimes I use that as what are the things I want to achieve that day or that week. So it becomes my overall dumping ground for things I want to do. And then lastly, actually, sometimes they act as my psychologist. I'll be like, why am I so upset today? And then sometimes I use ChatGPT. I'm like, this is the circumstance, blah, 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 blah. Why am I upset? And then like, you're upset because you feel blah. And I was like, and then I'll write in my journal. Apparently, according to ChatGPT, I feel blah. Do you agree? And then I kind of talk to myself. Maybe it is correct. Maybe you're feeling blah because something else has happened to you in the past that made you feel blah.
There's too many thoughts.
I have lots of thoughts.
Maybe I just don't have enough thoughts for this to be worthwhile for me.
Maybe.
Weird?
Maybe. No.
I just don't have enough thoughts to be able to put thoughts on paper. Or maybe I haven't sat to think about how much thoughts I have. You know what I mean?
Maybe. You're just not a thoughty person.
I'm just really not. Maybe I'm a vocal person. Actually, no, that's a lie because Mel, you're a vocal person. So I don't really know where this thought's coming from because they usually come out of your mouth.
It comes out of my mouth. I was gonna say other things come out of my butt, but it's more so about apparently my partner just found out how stinky my farts are. That's probably
Well, actually, okay, good point. So, what's been happening in your life? What's been happening in our lives? Why has your partner just figured out how stinky you are?
how stinky my farts are.
Oh, okay.
Well, so I moved out of my house. I moved out of my city residence. I used to live with my brother. For those who know me, I used to live with my brother, and I moved out just to move in with my partner. So getting used to suburban life is hard. Like I have to cycle everywhere, and I'm afraid of dying when I'm on the bike because
It's a fair fear.
yeah, and then when you have to go on a roundabout in a bicycle, that's also really scary.
Oh, actually, yes. I agree. I don't like that. Yeah. I agree with you.
And then, it's winter now, so it feels colder as well than it is in the city apartments. I don't know. And figuring out,
Does it really though? Does it really though? City apartments are pretty fucking cold.
I feel like suburbs are colder. I don't know.
No, sorry, no, you're right. Suburbs are colder when you step outside, but like in the houses, in the apartments, they're pretty fucking cold.
The inside's colder than the outside. I don't know. And then I think it's also like getting the motivation to do certain things takes a little bit longer because you have to get there.
Okay, so yeah, yes, fair, true. But my gym used to be a 20-minute walk when I used to go. And I think it's gonna take you just as long to get to wherever you need to be out there anyway. Like it's not like the time is any different to get to where you need to get to.
Yes, but it's a different, like for my stuff, I could walk through, I could also take a tram, whereas here I could either walk 20, 35 minutes or cycle 6 to 10 minutes and be afraid of dying. Which one do I
But
choose?
shouldn't the fear of dying be your warm-up?
It
It's
does,
like adrenaline.
but then it doesn't make me feel
Gets
calm.
your blood flowing.
It does, but it doesn't. And also when you cycle, it's at night. So then you're even like, what if I die and no one finds me?
I actually don't like cycling at night
Yeah.
because I always forget my lights.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, the biggest change is like I'm a suburban girl now, except at work, people know that I used to live in the city, and so that whenever I say I need to go home, they're like, "Which home?" I was like, "Don't make me sound like I'm in a different tax bracket to
Yeah.
you."
Which home?
I only have
Which home?
my city residence or my suburban residence.
Wait, so is your brother still in
Yes.
the city apartment?
Yeah. Whereas, so I do go over there just to see him sometimes. I will stay over in my city residence if I have to go somewhere far for work in the next day, or if I am out partying. Yeah.
How often is that? No, we're 33.
It hasn't happened yet. So that's kind of like a big lifestyle change, and I
Yeah.
think that has, yeah. And I think what takes up even more of my time is I'm really into gardening now.
And I was gonna say, I saw, and for those of you who follow Mel on Instagram, I saw something about worms which I didn't fully understand.
I have a worm. I'm a worm mommy.
I don't quite. Is that a thing?
I don't know. I have 1,000 worms. I'm a worm mommy.
Okay, so given now you are a gardener, and look, I don't profess to know much or enough about gardening. Worms are good.
Worms are good. Worms create poop, and poop makes garden good. That is the
Like worm poop or
worm
like
poop.
people
Worm poop. Worm poop. Worm pee is also good. Good fertilizer. So I've got 1,000 worms, and
Wait, how do you know you have 1,000?
Because I bought 1,000 worms.
Oh,
can
you buy them.
You buy them. It's a particular type of worm, and they were so cute and disgusting at the same time.
Do you pick them up
I picked one
with
up.
like your hands?
I was like, I poked them, and they go.
Yeah.
Just, oh, sorry, that sound. they swoop back in.
I don't think I've had a worm on me for a while. Like it's a funny feeling, right? Because they don't have bones. They move with
Yeah, and
how
you
they
wanna
move is the
squish them.
liquid moves.
Yeah, and I just so for those who don't have worm farms,
Like me, I don't have a worm farm. Please educate me.
you get your worm. You don't feed them for a week when you transfer them to a new environment, so they get feel comfortable. Then you feed them sparingly in the first week, and you gradually increase to the desired amount in the 4th week, so that you don't have rotting vegetables and fruits. Plus, your worm is like comfortable with eating a lot more.
I see. And wait, sorry. So they don't eat the produce?
They do eat the produce, yeah. So they eat the scrap vegetables,
But they eat the scraps.
They eat the scraps.
Okay,
So
they
they
eat
eat
the
the scraps. They can eat eggshells as well. They don't like apparently citrus and garlic, chili and onions. So you got to be specific with what type of scraps. They will eat some paper as well. You know, like you have to just make sure that you know that diet. Because I want to use the compost to make more vegetables.
So what's in your garden now?
This is gonna be a long list. Okay, what's in my garden now? What, spring onions, chili, all the herbs. So sage, parsley, basil, all the herbs essentially. I've got kumquat. I've got a blueberry shrub that hasn't blueberried yet. I've got an indigenous zest. I've got kale, cos lettuce, a different type of lettuce.
How big is this garden?
It's not. I just do chaos gardening. You know when people like put certain things in certain garden? I just put seeds everywhere. I'm trying to grow radish now, carrots.
Wait, I have a question. Did your partner use the garden before you were there?
He had 4 vegetables in that garden bed, and then I planted more vegetables in that garden bed, and I got 2 other garden beds, and then I got a wall garden bed.
So what I'm hearing is you're really enjoying living in the suburbs.
For some reason, gardening has given me, I don't know, like obviously I'm Chinese, and this is where if I could, sorry. This obviously, if I could, this is where I'll put like a flute sound, like, and then I'm like, I know that in the past, my ancestors were gardeners.
Were they?
I think so. They were gardeners turned gardeners back. I don't know, but my parents used to say they used their own shit to fertilize the garden. I don't know.
Clang?
No, sorry. In China. Before they moved to Malaysia. So I don't know whether it's
Did you grow up with a garden? Because
No.
I did. Like I grew up with a garden, and we didn't have a lot of vegetables, but we had a lot of flowers in the garden.
Oh,
And we
yes.
grew some vegetables at the back.
yeah,
But
we had flowers, but nothing edible.
I never spent a lot of time in the garden.
Me neither. I think it's it's interesting. I think seeing something grow was really rewarding. Like for example, you know I felt so achieved this one day. I was looking out at my garden and I saw the spring onions that were planted from scraps.
They grew pretty quick, don't they?
They grow quick, and these ones, if you don't touch them for a while, they grow nice and thick. Like nice.
Yeah. I've seen those.
I
Yeah.
looked at them and I was so proud of them.
And then you eat them.
I eat them.
Oh, okay.
But it was like growing spring onions is the easiest way to grow my confidence in vegetables.
It's actually not a bad. Maybe I should start growing. So I don't have a garden yet because city apartment, much like your city. Actually, no. In your city apartment,
No
you
sun.
had plants,
We have plants, but we tried growing vegetables, they all die.
and you had a Chinese money plant that I gave you and
My brother killed it. My
Oh,
brother.
right. So collectively, the household could not keep it alive.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Meanwhile, in this house, it's all plants, but it's all COVID plants. You know what I mean? Like, I have 20 monsteras, 20 Chinese money plants. The peace lily's been doing really well.
The piece is doing well.
None of it is food bearing.
Which is why I think it's useless. It's like a cat. It's like a cat. You know how you have dogs and cats? Dogs
like
give
cats.
you love.
Thank you very much.
I know. That's why I'm like, sorry. But a cat, you give them love and affection, and then they decide whether they want to love you or not. They decide. Whereas a dog will love you.
Don't listen to her plants.
You
It's
are
okay.
useless. Plants. you
Actually,
are
this rubber
useless.
plant is pretty useless.
Oh, is it?
The fact that I was running around the park yesterday and I noticed one of the trees was a rubber tree, and I was thinking, wait, this plant is so useless. It's been here for 4 years and it hasn't grown at all.
Oh. Yeah, I mean they're meant to be good for oxygen, but realistically, you don't even spend that much time in the apartment, so
No, that's true. That's true. And at some point, I'm gonna have to move out of this apartment. I mean, the fact that you've moved out to the suburbs.
does that give you confidence that you can do?
Wow. Someone as resistant as you did it, and so maybe you know what, I'll be fine.
Yeah. And also in Malaysia, you're a city guy too, technically.
Yeah, half we live in apartments.
Yeah,
so yeah, we don't have.
In Malaysia, I was a suburban girl.
Yeah,
And like I was telling Iryan, like,
I am Iryan.
I was like, I live around Mori, okay, Mori Alec, if you're from Melbourne, and there is a strip of shops. And one day, as we were driving towards the strip of shops, I'm like, oh my God, this feels like Malaysia. Like in Malaysia, I have a strip of shops called Taman Ingan. And I was like, Mori is like my tamaningan. And there was a weird, profound feeling of going back to like a circle of life. I'm like, I guess my time in the city has come to an end. Like that was when it dawned on me. I guess I live in a suburb now.
Well, there's been a lot of change. There's going to be a lot of change. In case you haven't picked it up, I'm leaving the podcast.
Welcome to Iryan's funeral.
This is why Mel wore black.
Yeah, I'm wearing all black. As you can see, it's all black. Someone actually said, "Oh, Iryan's divorcing you from the pod," and that was like, "Oh, is this my first divorce?"
Well, sometimes these things happen and then you go off and thrive.
Or you find a second part like co-host, and that's your second marriage.
You could also do that, right? And I mean, there's a couple of, we can talk about what I've learned and what you've learned, but I've learned that Mel can do the tech.
But
except 10 seconds ago. But
yes. But before we go, we've talked a lot about what changes has happened to my life. And before we go into kind of like why Iryan's leaving, what has he learned, and all that beautiful sort of like ending piece, I'm curious. What have you been doing with your life? What's something anything exciting?
Ooh.
You haven't been in the pod for probably a couple months now.
Yeah, it's been a couple of months now. Well, what are we now? We're May 2025.
Close to June. Close to mid of the year.
What's been happening?
What has been
Jan, Feb
happening?
is typically busy for me at work, and that's just supposed to take a toll. I went to Uluru.
Ooh, Uluru.
Which is, so for those of you who are not Australian or haven't heard of it, Uluru is in the Northern Territory of Australia. So if you think about Australia and you think about tourism and you think about the outback, and then there's this, for lack of a better way to describe it, a rock in the middle of the desert, that's Uluru. Middle of the desert, it was a really good trip. So we went through Easter, and we went into Alice Springs. So we flew into Alice Springs from Melbourne, and we rented a camper van. So camper van for 7 nights, which is a long time to be in a camper van.
And I've seen, do you know there's a movie called RV? Where
I think it's been a while.
It's a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I can't remember whether there's a problem with the RV, but you know when the toilet is not working and then the whole RV stank?
Yes.
Was there issues like that? Not necessarily toilets not working, but...
Apparently camper vans come in all shapes and sizes, right? So there were many options.
Like dicks.
For anybody
Sorry.
For anybody who would love to visit Uluru, let me know, especially through a camper van life.
We'll give you a discount code.
I can point you in the direction of who I use, and maybe I can, maybe. It comes in all shapes and sizes. Some have bathrooms, some don't. Some are just 4-wheel drives. And the trip that was planned was to do the non-off-road route. So there's a couple of drives out in the desert. One of them is an off-road route. It's well driven. There's a lot of cars, but it's a 4-wheel drive only. The problem with a 4-wheel drive only road and therefore car is that you don't have AC, you don't have a shower, you don't have a bathroom, which luxuries that you don't necessarily need. The AC we thought might be important because it could have been hot. It could have been hot.
Oh, it wasn't?
It was 8 degrees.
Oh, so cold.
Yeah. So we used the heater. So it's still good to have.
Yep.
Some of them don't have a shower or a toilet. Some of them do. Now the toilets are interesting because it's a cassette. It's a. You been camping before? Or like school camps and stuff?
Yes.
Drop toilet. So you think about
drop toilets.
Think about a drop toilet.
Yep.
It drops into a thing that you have to empty yourself. Into a dump tank.
So remember how we spoke about farming? This is what
Do you want some of that? Yeah,
no,
it's perfect.
I'm not saying
It
I
will be
want
so
it,
good.
but I'm saying you could then use that to farm.
But we didn't actually use it because you end up parking, because it was a powered camper van, you end up parking in powered sites that have showers and bathrooms anyway. So we hardly ever used. That was an emergency. You know what?
That's just in case.
Practically, we don't need it. We now know that we don't need it. Like I can live without it. The AC though would have been important.
Yeah.
Pro tip: when you rent a camper van in the Northern Territory and they ask you whether you want a tiny fan or heater fan, say yes. Not for the heater or the fan, but to fight away the flies.
Yeah. Okay.
So many flies.
Good to know.
Oh my god! But the trip was good.
And did you learn? Because obviously, it's a very sacred place to the Indigenous community in Australia. And I'm sure once you pass by Alice Springs, did you feel their connection to the earth? Like, did you learn things coming out of it?
I think so. I think there is. Doing the camper van is the right way to do it because you see so much country and the drives are really long. It's about 150 kilometers straight road. You just keep driving straight or something ridiculous like that. Some long straight roads. But you see the desert, you see country, you stop at the side of the road. I mean, the longest stretch of road we drove would have been 110 with no cars
Wow.
at all. Maybe we saw one or two cars going the other way, but we
Yeah.
didn't see anybody else. And it's quite interesting to see, of all the travels that I've done in my life, I've never seen landscape like that, which is quite fascinating. And I'm not a gamer, but I once played this game called Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. I'm looking somewhere for it. And it's got the landscape, and it's got the horses, and it's got the mountains. It looks exactly like that. It's actually quite amazing.
Interesting.
As we were driving, we saw wild horses.
Wild
3
horses?
days, I know. Apparently they're called brumbies here.
Oh my god. Okay.
So we saw wild horses. Cows are floating around everywhere.
Well, they're not actually floating.
Yeah. So because there's so many cattle stations, right? So there are cows everywhere. There are camels in the desert, which we didn't see, but there are camels in the desert. So to answer your question, I learned a lot. I learned a lot because as we drove, we stopped by a lot of, I guess it's touristy areas, but a lot of gaps and caverns, walks and stuff. And we did some tours and we spoke to some locals, and it was actually quite a learning experience. If you had flown into Ulara, so Uluru as an area, there's a town nearby called Ulara, which is built, right? It's a tourist town. It's all owned by one company,
Right.
which is wild.
Do you know who owns it?
No clue. Wild.
Okay.
There's 6 swimming pools. There's 5-star resorts. There's some mid-tier resorts, some backpackers, and then there's a campsite. So we stayed in the campsite.
So they've just catered for every possible
It's
tourist.
absolutely crazy, right?
Right.
It feels like Disneyland.
Right.
'Cause as you get-
Interesting. Okay.
The roads are paved. Everything's clean. There's tour buses all the time. There's
Right.
schedules. There's scheduled shuttles. There's drone shows. It's wild. And then because we drove,
It's like the Wild West.
right. Whoa. And then because we drove through the desert for 4 days before getting there with practically nobody.
Nothing.
And then you're suddenly in this space where there's supermarkets. There's an airport there as well, so people fly in. So I think the experience you get camper vanning versus flying in will be vastly different.
Right.
So I would recommend the camper vanning. But more importantly, because so we flew into Alice Springs and we drove to Uluru. In between, there is a stop called Kings Canyon, which is about 3.5 hours from Alice Springs or 3.5 hours from Uluru, depending on which way you go, about midway. So it's quite far. So it's hard to get to. The drive before, so we went from Alice Springs to Kings Canyon. Oops, dropped my pen. Between Alice Springs and Kings Canyon, nothing, nobody. Arrived at Kings Canyon, suddenly resort.
Right.
But one resort with a bunch of people, it was quite confronting. Well, not really, but it was quite confronting to see so many people. But the reason I think it was lovely was because it was so hard to get to. Yes, there were people, but there were people that really wanted to be there.
Right.
Because you can't fly in, you have to drive. And so you'd end up staying there. There was a restaurant and all that, which we didn't eat at. We still stayed in the campsite. Now, Kings Canyon is a mountain, and they've got what they call the rim walk.
The rim walk.
So it's about 4-hour walk around the rim
Right.
of
The canyon.
the mountain, the canyon.
Yeah.
And they recommend you start in the morning so you can see sunrise. Now, that was the most beautiful hike I've ever done in my life.
Right.
So you're walking, I'll show you photos actually after this, but you're walking around the rim, no protection, right? And there's some sacred, it's all sacred sites, right? But it's very beautiful. And less touristy. I think because it's hard to get to, and the climb is very hard.
No, so so my question is like, I don't know whether this is a separate topic, but I think I'm at this age now where wherever I go, I think about 2 things. One, can I bring my family?
Not to this one.
Mom and dad. When I meant family, mom and dad. And then like the second one is like, if not, is this something that I can I should go now, as in dangerous to bring, as in is it too dangerous to bring kids in the future? So you should go when you're younger. So
Actually,
this is not one.
That's a really good question. I think it's great to do now if you want to do it a bit rougher. Yeah, and look, camper vanning isn't roughing it out at all. It's
But it's
absolute
rougher.
comfort. But if you want to do the 4-wheel drive, sleep at the top of the car, with a rooftop tent, do all of that, do it now. That's it. The trip was very family friendly. Like even if you're camper vanning, if you get the right car, it's very family friendly. There was at the sunset viewing spot, which maybe I will post. It's quite. If you've ever seen a postcard of Uluru, that's where we parked to take photos of the sunset. It's exactly the same. Now, where we parked, there was a family that drove up next to us. And it was the parents and 4 kids. And they must have been between the ages of like 6 and 16 or something. Very family friendly. They knew what to do. The kids, it was quite impressive. They parked the car, the kids got out, took the tables, took the chairs, took everything out, took the games out, and everybody was prepared in like 10 minutes, which was really good. To bring your parents,
Old aging parents.
I think, and I was having a chat with my parents about this, it's a beautiful place to go, but they should be flying into Yulara. I think that's how
That's what I was
that's how
curious.
you want to do it.
That's what I was curious, like, because obviously with driving, it will be harder for your old parents. Plus, you, even if they're not driving, even if you're driving, they're still sitting, right?
I do think it's possible, because if you think about driving, it depends whether your parents still do long trips in the car, but KL to Penang or KL to Singapore is about a 4-hour drive. That's as long as you will drive once, like one
stop.
long trip. You know what I mean? And the camper van, was very comfortable. As a seat,
Okay.
so comfortable.
Right, okay.
Compared to cars.
Right.
But the camper van only fit 2 adults.
Oh,
So,
really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because it's a queen bed.
Right.
So, but look, I'm sure there's ways to do it. I recommend it. I think that walk, I don't think
The walk would
our
be
parents can do the
friendly.
walk.
Yeah.
Because the start of the walk has a couple hundred steps
Yeah,
or more.
yeah.
And it was hard.
Like my dad probably could, probably not my mom.
Yeah, it was hard. But absolutely beautiful. At the risk of so many people swarming to Kings Canyon, it was beautiful, but don't over tourist it. Uluru, beautiful. Quite a sight, because you're in the middle of the desert and then you see
A big,
Uluru.
yeah,
Right?
big monument.
How you can explore Uluru is interesting. They've got Segway tours.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm a bit-
Interesting.
yeah.
Okay.
Instead, we got the bikes and we cycle around, which is actually really nice.
Yeah.
There's some walks and talks, and one of the walks we did, short walk with one of the rangers. So he is of the Anangu community, which is the community that lives in the area, and I loved it. He had no filter. It was great. I think he was in his just fire me era. It was so good.
Oh, so what are some of the controversial things that he might have said?
I think that a big part of it is it's a tourist destination,
Yes.
right? And so they're given a script and they're given a job to do. But he grew up there. Like that's his culture. That's his community.
Yeah, that's him.
That's him. And he's like, I appreciate that, tourism has brought money into the community, which is important in education. That's all true. But then he's also like, what the fuck is Julara doing there? You know what I mean? So that was really good.
When people are in the Just Fire Me era, that's pretty
It's
fun.
so good. And so the trip was beautiful. I'd recommend anybody try it if you can. It's hard to get to. What that did, there were many 4-hour hikes that we ventured on. And I don't know if you've ever done a 4-hour hike in the middle of the desert, but
Not the desert, but other hikes.
4-hour hikes in the middle of the desert, in the sun, in the heat, there's a lot to your thinking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you then think about your priorities. And we were talking about this before we started this episode, right? What are the priorities and where are you spending your time? And that changes. Much like you having moved into Morialik now, now you're a gardener by identity.
A worm mommy.
You're a worm queen. You know what I mean? Like priorities have changed. You're putting, maybe that was not priorities. You're putting time and effort into other things that were not as important to you 5 years ago. And on one of those 4-hour desert walks, which, look, mind you, it wasn't that hot. I wasn't going to die of,
Yes, don't be
dehydration,
dramatic.
right? But they were really hard. And you think about where you want to put your time. And I think, this has been really important, been really fun. I know Mel's really sad. But it's about what's next, Mel will take this forward and do what she'll do with it and keep the content going, as we know. Yeah. So that's kind of where I landed of, all right, it was good, I've learned a little bit, we talk about that. But I guess it's the what next, and who will Mel get on the show next?
So
How do
is
you feel?
this-
How do you feel, Mel?
Is this goodbye?
Yes.
Yes.
I haven't signed the papers yet, but yes.
Oh yes. So we already spoken this. Like, this is where, like, Iryan's. This is our book. Is this where we sign the divorce papers?
Ooh. I gotta write a little note. We'll get ChatGPT to write it. But actually, okay, so
Yep.
funny, ChatGPT. We started this 2 years ago.
2 years ago on an August in August.
Ish. Oh, I remember that. I remember
Yeah.
this vividly because we talked about it for a while over the phone and in person. And then we started recording, and then I was on a snow trip. I know this because I was
On a snow trip.
driving on the Friday, and I
Yeah.
arrived at about 11 o'clock. It was somebody's birthday when we landed, I remember, in Bright. Bright? No, it was Mount Beauty.
Bright's a place in
And I had
Melbourne.
Bright's a place in Victoria. Mount Beauty is a place in Victoria, close to the Alpine region. And I remember whipping up my laptop, my iPad, being like, I have to edit this because Mel's going to kill me. So,
But yes, so we started it maybe it's like 2.5 years ago. We probably should check.
nah, it's all right. It's about you. And the reason I bring that up is how, because I mentioned ChatGPT, how quickly the landscape has changed in 2 years. When we started, doing research was a lot of Google, a lot of reading, which we still do. But now it's just ask ChatGPT.
Well, it's ask ChatGPT, confirm based on your own understanding of the topic.
Oh, you do that? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
of course. Yeah.
Have you tried ChatGPT's deep research option?
No, I haven't. Well, I don't pay for stuff.
No, it's free.
Oh, is it free?
Yeah, you should try it.
Oh.
Gemini's got one as well.
I've also tried DeepSeek at some point, and they
I
just
haven't tried DeepSeek.
it's just very wordy. It just feels like sometimes it's cool, sometimes it's a lot of fluff, but honestly, I would use ChatGPT as it's similar to like my work, just an initial thinking dump. Like, all right, this is the
Yeah.
general vibe, and then work from there. Because sometimes it's not very relevant. Like, an example, if you're like, hey, if you're a 30-year-old doing a podcast on health, what can we talk about? It's very generic. It doesn't put in your own lens and what you want to talk about and what you've observed in. And it can talk about the general key trends, but what is it specific to you that makes you interested in that topic?
Yeah, it can't do that yet.
Yet.
But-
Unless,
But it's come a long way. I was playing around, before the episode with Mel. Notebook LM, which is a Google product.
not sponsored.
Not sponsored. It's a Google product that generates a podcast episode based on sources that you give or comments or notes, etc. So you can feed it, and it takes a couple of minutes to put a whole episode together, which I think is quite wild. You know it's AI,
Because it sounds
right?
computer.
You know what I mean? Like it's still got that
Yeah.
now. But, and I didn't show you yet, Mel, but we'll find some, for our listeners, if you end up Googling it, you will find podcast episodes that are so realistic that you just can't tell. Like, I could be an AI right now.
You could be.
Actually, can we try? I'm going to try that after we finish recording. If it can listen to all our episodes and mimic me
Probably.
with you. It
'Cause,
probably
like,
could. I do not consent to that now.
No, because some of the interesting things that's happening, I guess, with technology is like, my brother's girlfriend, who's a food content creator, on her whatever platform that she uses. What does she use?
I'll find it.
A video
Oh.
editing platform.
Dunno.
She records herself talking CapCut. She recorded herself talking a couple of sentences. So now whenever if she wanted to, she could use that function to just read out whatever she wanted them to read out, and it will sound like her. That's already like one thing that some people do, yeah. But then obviously that means you've consented to a particular technology
Yeah.
having access to your voice. The other thing that I've learned recently is, do you ever feel like it's too expensive to have your own psychologist? Well, a friend of my brother's have used ChatGPT. Like, she paid for the paid version, and then she's made ChatGPT understand her as a person. So whenever she has problems, she talks to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT becomes her own personal psychologist. Obviously, the problem with that is bias. Like, she's putting in things that maybe. And then my brother's like, they can still do, can you give me an unbiased opinion? But, you know, technology is never biased. It's always beneficial towards the rich, the whoever is inputting things into the tech, right? But secondly, that computer knows who she is. Can you imagine one day if, like, Black Mirror episode, they were like, hey, why don't you go here? And, like, a robber has made her ChatGPT understand, like, the, you know, what person she is, and then, like, convince her to go to a particular place and then to rob her.
I feel like Google knows who I am, I'm sure, because they see all my photos, so they can make sense of it. They've got my emails.
Yeah, they don't know how you think.
I think they will. Well,
Not yet.
if you use Gemini, they probably will.
But right now, this person.
Actually, have you tried? If you open up ChatGPT
Yeah.
and ask ChatGPT to tell you everything it knows about you, you'd be surprised.
Well, I can do that, but you need to yap as I do that.
Yeah, that's okay. So I do this quite often actually. I ask ChatGPT to tell me everything it knows about me, and I tell it to correct a couple of things because it's not always right. What did it do?
Oh my god.
Is it right? Do you think it's right? Ish?
It talks about what sort of work I do. Just because sometimes I'm like, help me think of something.
Yeah.
It talks about, I was not planning a trip to New Zealand this year, but I was last year. Oh my god! It knows I've been in a relationship for 3 years.
You must have asked it a question.
I probably have. How does it know my weight and height? It also knows I have no dietary restrictions. Okay, this is fucked. I'm sorry.
Right? And so I do that every once in a while just to sense check. Because also, sometimes you ask ChatGPT a random question that has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
Like, you know, what gift should I buy a newborn? And it thinks I have a kid. I don't have a kid yet, right? I mean, because you're buying gifts for friends. So, yeah. So
I'm
you look
actually
shocked.
spooked.
You look shocked.
I'm spooked. It should not know.
What do you mean it should not know?
It should not know this much about me.
But then you just don't use it.
But like, it knows my dietary restriction. I don't even talk about food. Well, I asked about recipes. But it knows my weight and height.
You must have asked it a question about weight and height.
I don't think I have.
You must have.
I'm spooked. Anyway, so ChatGPT knows a lot about me already, but not how I think. Not how I would react and why I would react to certain situations.
I don't know. You should try it.
Oh, I don't know.
Let's try it after this. We'll try it after this episode. I'm curious. Let's give it a scenario. And I don't know, listeners, tell me if you're listening to this and you've ever done that, or you've ever asked ChatGPT to solve a problem like it was you solving the problem, and see what it does.
Oh my god.
I reckon it could.
All right. So the landscape of it all, just trying to calm myself down, is that AI has created podcasts, and I think it's interesting, right? Because now was also seeing just AI doing loads of things, like loads of jobs that it would have been ordinarily taken up by people. You know, the latest Katy Perry concert was heavily criticized because she used AI to create like videos of people having fun, and that has taken away jobs from actors.
Was it not criticized because she went to space? I haven't really followed the news about that.
Okay, so I'm not jumping on the Katy Perry hate train. I'm just giving you a lowdown.
Okay, yeah, okay, sure.
So her current concert, people have said that it's been a disaster because it looks like it has, it wasn't done very well. So either like the storyline was actually interesting, but they've used cheap-ish looking like costumes and stage things, and a lot of people, and then so the choreography isn't as good, especially when you think about like Taylor Swift. Jenny and Lisa on like Coachella stage, like people are putting so much in their presence on stage, and so a lot of people think that her concert just wasn't very good. But one thing that caught my attention was in one of the segments, she was there was a video of people just having fun. People have noticed that this video was AI because some people's hands were in different places. Like it was just clearly AI.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were like, Katy Perry is in her women empowerment era. Another big thing that she was criticized for is she's working with a music producer that has been accused, I think, of essaying Kesha or like just is a bad person. So a lot of people are like you're in your women empowerment area, but you're working with this producer. You're using AI to take away jobs from other actors that could be in this video. Do you know what I mean? So at some point, I get very scared. Not scared, but I get very sad because like if we can rely on AI to create podcasts, what's to happen to human podcasts? And it's not like we're making money from this. This is just a fun hobby. But what about people who actually
Is it just a fun hobby though?
I mean, it's fun. It is a hobby because it's not making money for me. And so it is a fun hobby, but can you imagine if this is like people's livelihood? It is taking away jobs potentially from people's livelihood.
Have you watched ads for Google's VO3, which came out this week?
I feel like I don't get lots of ads for tech because people know that I'm not that tech friendly.
So I want to open something up now because I want to get your honest reaction.
Like live reaction.
Yeah, and it's quite crazy. So VO3, VO is Google's video AI video generator, or one of. I'm sure they have a few. And it's quite crazy what it can do. And I'm trying to find the video for it. Where is it? There it is.
VO3. Look at this. I tried everything for my depression.
It looks fake
Nothing
though.
worked.
Every day felt heavy. I felt trapped.
Then I tried Puppermint.
Our prescription helps your body secrete a
The Indians
special
look real.
pheromone that attracts puppies. He used to need at least 50 people and $500,000
That video
to
looks
shoot
fake.
pharmaceutical commercials. Yesterday, he made one alone in his bedroom. This is entirely AI generated. The visuals, the sound, even realistic dialogue. Remember that Black Mirror episode where AI could instantly generate TV shows about anyone's
I remember
life?
that
We're
episode,
literally
actually.
living in that timeline now, except instead of fictional shows, it's real commercials being created in minutes. Think about what this means. Every ad agency, every production house, every filmmaker, they're all watching their entire business model get disrupted in real time. When one person with $500 can do what used to take an entire studio, everything changes and follow 100x for more. This guy just made a
Interesting.
See what I mean? Like it's. I actually didn't watch that video. I actually don't know what it is, but
But you can tell they're fake though. You can
yeah,
still tell.
well, you can tell they're fake now. It's like so. That gentleman, maybe not that one. There was this video. I'll send it to you after this. We're happy to link it in the show notes. But
Are we?
yeah, I mean it's public, right?
Can you send it to me so I remember? Otherwise, I probably wouldn't. I haven't been really good at linking things in show notes unless it's a show.
It's so impressive and it's not perfect, but it wasn't even possible 12 months ago.
I think it's so actually. You know how I said that it looks fake. I then caught myself. It looks fake to me. This video that we will probably link in the show notes. I'm reminding myself by saying this out loud. Is because the texture of the skin feels fake.
Yeah.
But how many people do you think right now, when they get plastic surgery, have fake-ish looking skin?
Yeah, well, okay, fair, true. I don't know. I feel like we're going to get there. We're going to get there real quick and quicker than we think. Which actually takes me to the what next.
Oh yes, what's that for you? Are you thinking of creating more AI content? Is that what this introduction is?
Maybe I am AI content.
Maybe he is. Maybe he's never been here. Maybe he's never existed.
I don't know, the videos were quite realistic.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean,
You never know. But I don't know. What is the future? What is the the next thing for me,
What are you prioritizing now, actually?
well,
Like, as a 30,
as a
33
33-year-old,
year
yeah,
old.
no, don't remind me.
Yeah, like what's
Well, I need to do more of my physio exercises because my physio
'Cause-
will kill me.
because your body is broken, just
My
like all
body
of
is
us
broken.
30-year-olds. Yeah.
Well, I think that's a big one, right? Because I haven't been training enough, and it's been excuse after excuse. This one's a real excuse. I actually do have an injury on around the back that needs to be solved, but it shouldn't stop me from going back to the gym. It shouldn't. Physio said go, and I haven't made the time. Now, I'm not saying that this takes up so much time that I don't do that, but that's a priority, right? That I'd like to look at. I do like the prospect of where artificial intelligence is going and what it can do. So not podcasting, because I don't want to encroach on Mel's space, but
I mean, to be fair, someone did ask, what if Iryan decided to do a podcast with someone else? Would that hurt you? I'm like, probably. Ooh.
what if I go and start an AI podcast reviewing
Yeah.
all the new AI tools that come up?
Yeah.
Would you listen to that?
Like
Like every new AI tool that I find, I'll just review VO3.
I feel like that's probably a YouTube thing more because you want to see things, not just a
True.
yeah. So if it's a YouTube thing, maybe I'll feel less like you've you moved on to some. It feels more
Is
like
that an upgrade because it's video, or
I think it's a different thing, different capability.
do you think I can
altogether.
shoot that on my action cam? I got a new action cam. I don't know where it is.
Yeah, he has so much tech, he just doesn't use it.
Yeah. Excuse you. The action cam was good for Uluru. So good.
Okay, fair. What about your other tech? You had a gimbal.
I'll never use that gimbal again. No, actually, no. I will use that gimbal because it attaches to the DJI action cam. They're both DJI.
Okay, I don't. Yeah,
It
okay.
marries, you
Okay,
know.
okay.
Anyway, AI. Look, I think there's something in the AI space that will interest me, and maybe not. Maybe there's nothing that I'll do on the side for a while and just focus on life and getting enough sleep and training and work and listening to Mel on the podcast. I suppose.
Yeah, remember to subscribe.
May-
Forward likes.
Maybe come back as a guest.
Host? A guest, sorry, I meant guest.
Yeah, maybe come back as a guest. If the topic is interesting, you want to talk about AI, call me. I say it like I understand it. I'm an AI enthusiast. I'm not a technical person by any means. I don't speak it. However, it can write the code for me now. So who cares?
True.
So yeah, I think there's something out there in that space that I think I'll probably spend a bit of time on. Talk less, type more into ChatGPT probably, you know?
And I guess, like, going forth, like, to be honest, like, for, we used to do this segment where we talk about how we're doing the pod. So for a couple months now, in the past, we would record this, I would do the socials, and then Iryan will edit. But because life has been getting in the way, I've been editing, which means you would have seen there's less social activities on socials because I focus a lot more on the editing
You
process.
should get ChatGPT to do that for you.
I mean, sure, but like sometimes, I mean, you have to like in the editing, I listen to the pod and then edit because then it also gives you a refresher on what we've spoken about, right? So
Now you understand. Mel used to be like, just post it.
no,
Don't
but
even listen to it.
To be fair, I think I'm less pedantic.
Yeah, that's
still.
fair. Yeah,
So I
that's
think
fair.
I listen, and I only really like change things up. If like, oh, someone is very soft. This section, there was a section that we spoke about with Josh where we spoke about feet and OnlyFans stuff, and I was like, nah, let's take it out. So, like I've taken out things. Or when we spoken about what are we watching, and it wasn't very interesting. Like, oh, it actually isn't
Kind of
interesting.
trim it and cut it.
Trim
Yeah,
it and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
So going forth, I guess I will continue to do that, maybe. But something that I wanted to say was like it's really interesting for me, doing this pod. I've always wanted to just try this out. I've always wanted to even do like a YouTube video. I think it's just like a fun, creative outlet for me, and I've never had someone to like really want to do a pod. So Iryan's the first one, and it kind of makes me really
Mel, are you
scared.
breaking up with me?
No, you're breaking up with me. But it makes me really scared. I don't know. I don't know whether anyone of the 30-year-old out there feel the same, but doing things by yourself sometimes, it also feels like when things fail, it's all on you. So it's been a really nice buffer to have someone to like fail together. I think that's
Yeah,
probably
I
something
see
to do with
that.
humanity. Where and I don't know, it's like when people used to say being a leader is lonely. This is not like being a leader in any way, but you are leading your own initiative. So a little part of me is scared. A little part of me also feel it's like because the past couple months when I've been doing it on my own, it's been less motivating, and you have to really motivate yourself to do things. Which I can see why sometimes when people used to be like a founder of their own company, they really need that resilience. So it's new. Let me know if anyone out there is interested in sitting in and chatting even as a guest host. I'm gonna try to do some solo episodes. I've got some thinking, but I'm actually really scared because I think I think I did one, and I don't think that episode did very well because that's the one with to do with like the American politics. So then again, like I'm not a politician. I'm not a politics nerd. It was just something.
I'm surprised you haven't done Australian politics.
Because I don't think it's as not dramatic's the right word, but it's probably isn't as dramatic. Like for me, I can't vote for the Australian.
Oh yeah, true.
I can't.
Neither can I.
And nor can I vote for the American one. But I think the impact of the American politics actually seep into the world politics more. That's probably why I was like interested in doing that.
I mean, if TikTok will ever get banned, then yeah.
Yeah, we've spoken about that. Actually, no, that brings to the next point. So anyway, one is if anyone wants to come and chat, feel free to come and chat. I will try to do some solo videos. So if things are a little weird and odd, let me know and just give me some grace. But I kind of want to but I kind of want to ask Iryan as well. Ask Iryan, given that you've been with this pod for 2 years plus, do you have like a favorite memory, like a core memory, favorite episode, or like what is something that you've learned maybe like from this whole process?
I think. So you mentioned a couple of things, but favorite episode, and it actually has been the most popular episode. It's about relationships.
Yeah.
But not, in case you haven't listened to it, it's not just, well, actually, no, it's not about romantic relationships at all.
It's about all the different relationships you
and so
have.
I recommend for anybody listening to this, if you made it this far into this episode, go and find that episode. There's 2 parts, and I'm going to say it's part 1. Yeah. I think that's a really worthwhile listen. The reason I think it's... Sorry, you go.
So it's interesting. So like when we look at the analytics, the podcast as a whole, we've had about like 1,070, 80,000 stuff listen, right? 1,000 plus, near 1,100. The relationship episode takes up about more than 10% of that listenership. And it's really interesting why that's the case.
I think we were somewhere along this episode, we talked a little bit about human connection, and I think that's a big part of it, right? And we're both experiencing this now, although, I'd say that we're both experiencing this now in our 30s. Less about finding other human connection because we've got friends and family, etc.
Enough.
But it's changing, right? There's more AI, there's more ChatGPT, people are stuck on their phones with Instagram or, I don't have TikTok, but I assume TikTok as well, those sorts of things, right? More and more people are trying to understand or remind themselves what a relationship looks like, whether that's with your family or your friends or your co-workers. I can't remember the other relationships we spoke about. Your community, right? And I think it resonates with a lot of people. I can't imagine anyone out there listening to this will not appreciate or understand the need for community, or for friends, or for family, etc.
Just connection. I think, obviously the world, the more connected we are, the lonelier we get.
Yeah.
So it's probably figuring out. And the older you get, like this is what I'm noticing with friends who are our age, if they have kids and priorities, they tend to then neglect certain other priorities, which might actually make them feel more lonely, because then they are, for example, just focusing on their own kids, then they might lose sight of like who they are outside of like taking care of their
that's
kids.
a really good point, right? Because when we, well, I say this without having not having been blessed with kids just yet, but at some point. But when you have kids, you'll have a family you got to focus on, and you start to look in rather than out. And you're right, they probably lose sight of community, friends, because it can be hard, right? Because more time goes into the family.
Even your partner. Maybe you're just focusing on your kids. So
Yeah.
you lose
So
that.
so it's nice to be reminded that other people are struggling and other people can share their stories about what's important to them, and I thought that was a really good episode. The other thing that I thought, because then you also asked what's a highlight or what was really fun. You know, remember that one day we went out to the streets?
Yeah.
I think you should do that.
I mean, I just need someone to come film.
I reckon I'll help you come film. I may not be on screen, but I think that was really fun.
That was fun. I think it was also really interesting to see who's willing to chat. Yeah. Yeah, it is. Although I don't want to be lumped with all the. Have you seen people being interviewed by podcasters or people where they're like, what sort of guys do you think are like the sexiest? Have you seen those?
Which part of Reddit are you on?
It's not. It's like you can see that it's being filmed in MC and such. Yeah. Oh, it hasn't been as popular lately, but I have noticed it a little bit after when we posted our us walking around the city, and I wonder if that's just because AI was like, you might be interested in this.
I think that was really good. I think that was fun. You should try it at Modi
Oh, interesting.
on that strip.
Interesting. There's lots of like hotly dressed people who are young.
Yeah. Isn't that the target market?
I think they're like less under 21, 22.
Yeah.
Morty Strip is like full of young, fresh, ready to go adult kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I should go visit Modi. I like more. But yeah, like, I think.
Did you learn much
Ooh.
from this whole process about yourself or about the industry, whatever?
I've learned that I do enjoy to talk, but I think anybody who knows me knows that. I learned a little bit about the tech, which I thought was quite interesting. But I think what I learned, quote unquote, learned from it was every time we had a topic, I thought that was quite fun. Like the pickleball episode, that was really fun.
It was. I learned a lot.
Have you played?
I haven't, because I've been waiting for our pickleball event.
I think I might go out and buy I'll go and buy a set today. They're really cheap now.
Are they?
So when we first started talking about it a year ago, the sets would have been really expensive because it wasn't in Australia. Now you can get them for $15.
Oh, that is
It's
cheap.
so cheap.
That
Kmart
is
sells a
cheap.
set for $15. They're not good, don't get me wrong, but you know what? Good enough.
It's an entry point. It's always
yeah,
good to have entry points and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's been really fun.
You gonna miss me?
I think so. I think a lot of people really love the blend of chaotic and calm.
Yes, I have heard that. That's accurate.
and it's I think that and it's also really nice to have a male perspective. I think a lot of times when I listen to all the podcasts I listen to, when there's a duo, it's like girls, women's talk.
Female heavy.
Yeah, talking, which is probably geared towards me. Whereas I think when we talk, like I wouldn't have done an episode about pickleball. I think you probably also bring in a perspective that's very different to my own. So I'm not in a vacuum of my own thought. And
Although, so to that point, to our listeners, I imagine the balance is quite great, which I love that. But also, I guess you might find your niche, right? When I'm not holding you back, Mel, you'll go deep into this and you will find your target market, and it may not be our audience today. Sorry, you know what I mean?
is our niche just Malaysians? No,
Well,
sorry. Actually, no. I was like, I don't think so. I don't think we have loads of Malaysians listening.
No, but you could.
Hey,
If that's what you're after.
apa khabar? Khabar baik?
Malaysians in Melbourne, we have a big community here.
We have
I don't-
so many
I
Malaysians
can't
in
say,
Melbourne.
actually, I can't say that I know of a podcast that is specific to Malaysians in Melbourne. I haven't searched.
But what will they talk about?
Living in Melbourne.
As a Malaysian?
Bridging the gap of culture that you grew up with in Klang, for example, or in Malaysia, into Australia, and you will have a lot of. There will be a lot. I'm sure there will be,
There
of
is.
Chinese background, of Vietnamese background. There will be a lot. I don't know if there are many from the Malaysian background. And you could do food with it because we love food.
Yeah. No, actually, this is a total side thing. Today, I was having a chat with Ryan, my partner, and he was actually talking about, this is a random side thing, only brought up because we were talking about Malaysians in Melbourne, and I might totally cut this, we'll see. He was saying how you know, my parents, when they called me recently and they were like, you and your brother should do this, and this. And then he was like, it's really strange. In Australia, the older you get, the less your parents will start being involved in your life. Whereas for me and my brother, we moved here when we were really young, 15. So
How old was he?
he is now 29, turning 30 next year.
So he must have come here when he was 12.
No, he came a bit later. So he came when he was 14, but I came when I was 15. And for a long time, our parents probably didn't play that big of a part in our lives, right? To the point where in my mid-20s, I was like, I need a life coach. I need some guidance. But now, you know, Ryan's noticed that my parents wanted to have more say in me and my brother's lives. And I don't know whether it's because, well, in my head, I wonder if it's because, during our mid-20s, my mom and dad were probably taking care of their own like family. Like my grandma had issues, my uncles had issues, like health issues. So she was like very involved in that. And then when we were also in our mid-20s, we were just doing uni. So there's not really a lot
Yeah, I was going to say, is it because you're making more life decisions now?
I think that's what I was thinking. Like at the time, it's like, okay, are you studying? You are great, fine. What's your GPA? You know. Whereas now, it's like, you know, who are you dating? What's your life progress? What's your career progress? Because career, you're not just are you getting promoted. It's like, do you like this industry? If you don't like this industry, do you want to change industries, or do you want to just change jobs? And if it's not that, if it's like, oh, you want a different job, different industry, which one? Is there so much more decision making to think about? Anyway, we're like, but you know, I still wonder if if we were Aussie, even if we're at this stage, you know, whether they would, my parents would have the same interests, or like not even interests, same control that they kind of want in our lives. I don't know if it's like a control thing. Like, do you relate or not really? Or is this a Chinese Malaysian thing?
I suppose a bit different because I moved here a bit later in life, and I've got siblings in Malaysia,
And
Like,
that
it's a
they can
different
control.
it's a different family dynamic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true. Anyway, so it's completely only just saying this because you reminded me, and I totally might cut this out if I keep it. Hope you enjoy it.
I can see a series. I can see a series of one episode per year of your life that you can remember, and a story to talk about in each year, growing up as a Malaysian. It'll take a lot of time and thinking for every year of your life what happened in each year, but
And also, do people care?
well, they might not. You know, there might be some trauma sitting in one of those years that would be
There
really
is
interesting to
so
talk about.
much.
You know, but you know what I mean. You see what I mean? And look, it's not going to start from year 0 to year, like, I don't know, 7 maybe. But once you start primary, that might be quite exciting. You know, when I was 7, this happened. When I was 8, then there's a whole story behind it. When I was 8, I broke my wrist, and there's a whole story around that.
What were you doing?
I was monkey bars.
Okay.
Which is part of the reason why I don't actually use the monkey bars anymore. But, you know, there will be a story for every year if you think hard enough. And that might be fun. Short series, 30 episodes, 23 episodes. You might have a bit of fun.
Maybe. But yeah, I think I will miss you. Will you miss this part? Will you miss me?
I think
No.
I think it's nice to be able to sit down with a friend and talk about shit.
Life.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because you don't, it's not like, how are you? I am good. This is what's the updates of my
know?
life purely.
Yeah, you know, the weather's been great. You know, it
This
actually
is-
hasn't, mind you.
This probably feels a little bit like, you know, when Aristotle used to talk with his peers about philosophies. Well, it actually probably is.
Probably.
Sorry, that was loud.
And they were probably scribing it on something. Wait, was that? Yeah, they were probably
Yeah.
scribing it on something.
Yeah. Are we Aristotle and Socrates?
I'm not as informed, but you know what? Maybe. Give it-
Maybe. That's true.
in 2,000 years, you know, there might be a statue of me sitting somewhere. With
Why
my
you?
copy.
You're leaving. It'll be me.
Because I was the one that was forgot. You know, 'cause I left.
Oh, because you left. You're the muse.
yeah,
Yeah. Okay, fine. Well, I don't know if that makes sense. But no, that's true, actually, because you don't always talk to your friends about concepts of things.
Yeah, how often, and look, a lot of people do, and that's great with their friends, but it takes a setting for you to sit down and talk about stuff. You just set aside an hour to just talk.
And just, yeah.
It's hard when everybody's busy.
Yeah. When you have different rotating priorities. Yeah, and who
when
knows?
you have worms to take care of, like it's hard. 1,000 worms, I heard.
Yeah, like, oh my god, I was just like, how many breasts do you need to breastfeed? Which is
All
not
right, I reckon Mel's gonna post a photo of the worms on the page
with the breasts. No,
with the plants.
with the
I
plants.
think we're curious now.
Are they? Are you?
Yeah. What have you become, like a gardening podcast person?
I don't know. I think it's hard to be a gardening podcast person because people like looking at the plant.
I don't think so. I don't think it's that hard. You know why?
Why?
Because you record as you're gardening.
That's an interesting concept.
Give that a go. Give that a go. I think that'd be fun.
Do you want to hear it, guys? Or do you want to hear me? I do sing to my plants.
Yeah. You know, like you just put a mic on, and because you connect it to your phone anyway, I presume, right? Yeah. Talk what? Because you're alone. But you just talk while you're gardening. How good would that be? And then you get Mel's thoughts.
Done. I was gonna sing. Done. But yes, we will leave this at that. Clearly, we're like elongating the farewell. We will still be friends. Luckily enough, we will still be friends. I think.
I didn't agree to that.
I
but-
was like, I think we signed the contract. No, we have not signed the.
I'm gonna film the days that you're out and about in the city. It sounds.
Maybe, yeah. But yeah, it's really fun. I think it'll be interesting to see whether at some point, will you come back to co-host? What will you guest co-host? It's been really lovely. It's been a really interesting way to like make this friendship work. I don't think I've ever had a friend. Like, would you even consider this a work colleague turned friend? Would it? Is this work?
I mean, we were friends first, but
We were friends first, but it's like now a different dynamic.
and I will see you as a guest in the future.
So until then, stay safe.
And
Peace out.
you are 30 what now?
I am 31 now, I guess.